I am your space weather overlord, Smash-O-Mash from the planet Smashtron 9. Today we will be covering your space weather in a non-monotonic voice. Here's some imagery of the closest star from HelioViewer. If you want to make your own videos, head to helioviewer.org. That's 2 wavelengths there. They're both ionized iron, huge coronal hole rotating in a low number of sunspots. And we're all gonna die because there aren't enough sunspots, folks. Remember, a lot of sunspots are scary, and a little sunspots are scary. It's all very scary. You should be spooked. Oh, noes. Oh, noes. The sun's gonna kill you. Just kidding, folks. That's nonsense. So here is our solar intensity gram, and we're down to a very low number of sunspots here. I think we're only going to have like 3 named sunspot groups. They're all in the southern hemisphere, 1 there and 2 over here. So the most interesting one is this one here, which has kind of rapidly formed. It'll be more evident in the colorized magnetogram imagery. This group right here is the group to watch. So a dip in solar activity. No, it's still not a grand solar minimum. Now, I'd like to introduce a new affiliate. So visit our homepage. You may see something new there that we have just recently created. It's a new sponsor / affiliate, whatever you want to call it. And you will now find a link on the homepage. And welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, by the way. You'll find a new link there to Hemp Lucid. So if you already buy products from Hemp Lucid, if you wouldn't mind using our link, we would be much obliged. You would greatly appreciate it. So check it out there. That is one of our new business partners there, Hemp Lucid. You'll find a whole bunch of products there directly from our link. So go shop if you're trying to do stuff like improve your health via CBDs. They also offer all sorts of other products like reishi mushrooms and so on, so check that out. Check out the merch shop also, links below the video and in the description and on the homepage to the Smash-O merch shop as well. Today I'm wearing the Universum Liberate product. I thought it was pretty brilliant. The Galactic Federation Special Forces. Today's featured product is a re-release because, well, folks keep masking, so we keep asking if you'd like a souvenir by which to remember the global pandemic which you've survived so far. Smasher Price, my first pandemic, because most people are experiencing their first pandemic. So why not get yourself a keepsake, perhaps an apron, to cook up your favorite products, or maybe a tote bag. What about a tapestry? Would you like a Smasher Price My First Pandemic tapestry? Who doesn't want that? Now come on, folks. Maybe a mini skirt featuring the entire planet masked? What could possibly go wrong? What could possibly go wrong, folks? It's very effective and very safe. If you want to support the channel via subscription services, check out smashomash.com/smashteam. Yes, thanks to our gold and silver subscribers. You are the executive producers that are keeping the content in existence, remaining publicly visible and free for all to view. You can find the Hemp Lucid link on the Smash Team page as well. Click posts to see the latest posts from us. Smashomash.com/smashteam is what we've replaced Patreon with. So check it out. There's also a bronze level there for all of you unable and unwilling to open your cobweb-encrusted wallet. You can also find a link to SureMed, which is a membership with the American Better Health Organization, a group focused on increasing the health of its members, improving the health of its members. So check that out. I'm drinking butter in my coffee today, by the way. So check out the SureMed link as well if you'd like to get all kinds of discounts and all kinds of services like doctors by phone, counselors by phone, even virtual veterinarians are a fringe benefit of the SureMed membership. It'll also allow you to purchase some group insurances, so check those out. And don't forget to press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content on YouTube. Thanks for tolerating the pathetic censorship on the platform low the past 5+ years as we produce the most detailed space weather imagery and space weather data releases of anybody on the internet, doing the most comprehensive space weather that you'll find any place. Don't forget to check the playlists for all kinds of other content as well. Things like driving, riding, pro tips, terms to find. SmashOmash.org presents The Sun, the Diamond Anvil, Too Hard to Smash, cosmology segments, and more. Thanks to everybody who has supported the channel. And let's get back to the coverage. So, volcanic eruptions are occurring. Some phoenix clouds have been observed at Shiveluch. So Shiveluch, the volcano on the Kamchatka Peninsula, now producing an extrusive eruption. Also a 12,000-foot ash plume there, flight level, looks like a 16,000-foot ash plume, flight level 160. Suwanosejima also erupting, volcanic ash cloud unknown, don't pole vault the caldera. Semeru, discrete volcanic ash eruption reported, discrete enough to produce a 14,000-foot ash plume. Now Carinci back on the list and producing a 14,000-foot ash column, flight level 140, headed down to Guatemala to Fuego as it explodes, flight level 150 from Fuego, flight level 210 from Sangay in Ecuador. It's exploding as well, just like Revenador. 16,000-foot ash plume from Revenador, 23,000-foot ash plume from Sabancaya. Here's your earthquake rundown. It's been pretty calm here seismically over the past about month. And the largest quake of the past 24 was a 5-point-something at the Philippines. Nothing higher than the mid-5 magnitude range. There was a 5.0 in the Band AC in the past 24 hours. And let us know if we've missed anything on the list. Just letting it scroll there for your viewing pleasure. And thanks for leaving comments, Acrylic D and Tinman1057. Were you aware that these videos are often live streamed to twitch.tv/SmashOmash? Looks like the largest quake was a 5.5 in Qinghai, China. There's a location of that. That quake was baited China, okay? It was baited China. China quake, a quake from China. China quake probably built in a laboratory, okay? Okay. Japan also had a 5.2, Philippines had a 5.4, and let's move on and go back to space. It's the house favorite wavelength, 171 angstroms. And yeah, pretty low levels of solar activity here. The radio flux has dropped down to 114 solar flux units. There is the 1-year graph of that. And oh my God, it's time to hide in a bunker, folks. It's a grand solar minimum. Just kidding, folks. A grand solar minimum is a period of time where we see like 2 solar cycles consecutively with nearly 0 sunspots. Have you seen any cycles like that? Me neither. Here is the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. And looks like NOAA agrees with us here. I mean, they're expecting a KP4 early tomorrow. And I tend to agree. They're not saying why it is, but it's looks like a CME. So also there is some more information coming out about CMEs right now. And we're going to cover that. There may be another earthly directed one. We'll show you why a little bit later in the video. At the moment, no geomagnetic storms forecasted, just a brief period of geomagnetic unrest tomorrow. And we actually showed the CME a couple of days ago on the channel that we are expecting to cause that geomagnetic unrest. So here are the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space, and it's pretty calm out there in the earthly geospace. We're seeing the high-speed coronal hole wind stream subsiding. That's our geospace magnetosphere movie depicting magnetohydrodynamic pressure. The units are nanopascals. Here's Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And yes, Earth's magnetic field is weaker than in 1850. Is it weak enough to be an indication of a magnetic reversal or a pole flip? Not really. It's far from it. And if you're frightened by magnetism, I don't know what to tell you. By the way, planetary orbits are not controlled by magnetism, just in case you're wondering. Anyway, that's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. The sun is not going to kill you, and neither is the galaxy. So here is the the Planetary K Index, and we're similar to yesterday here. We've got a 1.33, which actually that is what we reported yesterday. 1.33 is the Planetary K Index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. I like the decimalized additional resolution there on that new KP index, Planetary K Index data. Here's a subsiding of this high-speed coronal hole wind stream. We're now at about 450 kilometers per second for the velocity. Solar wind density down to about 5.5 protons per cubic centimeter. Pretty uneventful there. Goes magnetometers for the past 3 days, showing a greater range here. Higher highs and lower lows than we saw in the past couple of days. And let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. So the solar plasma, it is polar. And Earth is in a south pole current sheet there depicted in red. Most interesting factor of this series of images from the National Sunspot Observatory Gong 2 data is indeed the north solar polar field. You're going to see it shrink here right at the end of the last few frames there. You see it shrinking. That is the progression of solar cycle 25. You can see it's getting smaller and smaller. It looks like it's finally leaving the north polar region. And let's take a look at the line of sight field plot. The sun's B field here is depicted in blue. Solar polar fields depicted in red and green. And let's move to coronal holes because we've got a very well-defined one. It's one of the main features right now in the solar disk. As we've got pretty small, weak sunspots, we've got a very well-defined coronal hole. It is of south pole polarity. See it right there? And some more north pole-oriented coronal holes rotating in here on the east at the end of the video. There's that well-defined coronal hole. Also a crown prominence still down here by the south solar polar region. Here's a close-up of those features. Yes, what evil lurks in the heart of coronal holes? The Smash-O knows. And it's time to move to sunspots. Yes, there's a high-speed stream of protons coming out of that coronal hole right now. And here are the sunspot scenarios. We're going to have 2 more named groups. This group here will certainly get a name. That'll probably be sunspot 3126. There may be another group named down here. It depends on how long it remains a sunspot. They're pretty small groups. They appear to be a beta gamma class so far, meaning they have both polarity fields. You'll see the formation of 3126 right here. I think it's going to be named that. It looks fairly likely. Here is the zoom out. And we also have the 131 angstroms added because the sun is a bit featureless right now, except for coronal holes and some minor sunspots. So don't hide in your bunker yet, folks. You'll be just fine. Here is your GOES proton flux for the past 3 days, flatlined. And we're seeing a reduction here in the X-ray flux. No surprise, as we have such a low number of sunspots. And here's your 94 angstroms 24-hour SDO video. And it looks like we did see some minor C-class flaring coming from this sunspot down here, 3124, I believe it's called. And let's continue on because I think we may have another coronal mass ejection. So we're expecting one minor strike either late tonight, probably more likely early tomorrow. I agree with Noah on that, as we forecasted a couple of days ago. Here's a star chart. If you're up before dawn, you may see the Moon and Mars high near the ecliptic, which is this yellow line. The blue line depicted there is the galactic plane. Also Mercury rising ahead of the Sun. If you've got clear skies and a low horizon, you might be able to see Mercury there. Here is your solar system forecast. Let's advance it 1 week. In 1 week, we will have a sliver of a moon. I think we're 6 days from new moon for all you reverse werewolves out there. So, here is the CME that might be earthly directed. It is showing up as a halo here. So there is definitely some componentry there that could be directed toward the Earth. It's quite diffuse, though. It's not a major coronal mass ejection. And we've been saying for the last few days that we're expecting like 100% likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections. We'll show you the likelihood of more. But I think that one might be earthly directed, so you can expect an impact from that late in the day on the 21st. Maybe early in the day on the 22nd. Unlikely to cause major geomagnetic storms. So that was yesterday's data. Here's today's data. This is 34 more frames. And let's move on to the stereo A coronagraph to show you some additional data here. Also, we'll show the Soho-Lascaux C3 located here at Lagrange 1. So you will see some ejecta here. Most of it is off to the north for sure. But there may be a bit there headed toward Earth. It's quite diffuse there. It's really dissipating quite rapidly as it leaves the corona. So that might produce no signal at all, or a very weak signal. Not even expecting a geomagnetic storm condition from that, but it could be like a KP4, maybe. Expecting that probably most likely early in the day on the 22nd. So we'll just let that play through. We'll show you some 24-hour videos. So here's the last 24. Great view of Venus showing up there. And you really can't see a lot of ejecta here on the east side, which is over here. But that computerized imagery can see it a little bit better than we can. It's got a little bit more idea of what pixels are where. It's showing difference imagery. And let's zoom out a little bit farther. This is the same imagery basically, but 24 hours. Still 24 hours. Soho-Lascaux C2, C3, and SDO 304 angstroms. Sweet. So, the likelihood of additional coronal mass ejections remains nearly at 100%. So this is the Lermonth, Australia ground-based solar observatory, and you can see a ton of filaments here, mainly in the south now. There are still some in the north as well, but a little crown prominence down here and a bunch of filaments in the southwest. So we'll be watching it. We'll be keeping you posted. And here's the last couple of hours from the GOES 16 SUVI. We've been streaming it daily on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smashomash. And let us know in the comments what's in your coffee. Today I've got butter in mine. And here's one more series of composite images. This is 171 plus 94 angstroms. And these active regions over here, these do not appear to have any sunspots yet. So we'll show you some high-res imagery of those areas, but when we did show prep, no sunspots. Just a couple of groups here, a couple of small, weak-looking sunspot groups. The most interesting one is indeed this one, 3126, I think will be the name of that. Should have a name by tomorrow. And let's move to bonus features. So we don't have any charging hazards at the moment. There's the GOES electron flux over the past 3 days, just in a nominal range here, just under warning levels, nothing to write home about. Here is the forecast model for relativistic electrons by NOAA. Fairly close to the forecast was the yellow diamond there, that's the observation. There's the 1-year graph to put it in context, right in the middle of the range there. And let's take a look at the F ionosphere layer, which is, by the way, where the GOES 16 and GOES 17 measure the electron flux. Right about here, 300 kilometers of altitude. We'll show the vibrational frequency and the anomaly gram. So here's the raw megahertz data, millions of vibrations per second. If you're not familiar with looking at that, don't worry. That's why we show the anomaly gram. It might be a little bit much to understand, so if it's all Greek to you, here's the anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. Things looking a little bit more normal here over the past day. Here's the latest image. That's 10:15 Universal Time in both ionogram and anomalygram. By the way, that data is from the Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology. Next, we'll take a look at the total electron content. I heard there were some GPS issues at Dulles Airport yesterday. The possibility that somebody was jamming the GPS signals. I did look at the electron flux, and I don't believe that it was caused by total electron content. By the way, the total electron content shows the electrons in between your GPS satellite and your handset. There could be signal refraction created by things like the inner Van Allen belt. Let's take a look at that. So we are seeing some electrons out of place here. You're seeing large GPS errors indeed over the US. Let me shrink that down one size. There we go. And we'll let that play through one more time. That's the coupled thermosphere, ionosphere, plasmasphere electrodynamics model. It's literally showing you the electron count between your GPS satellite, which is on the inner portion of the outer Van Allen belt, and your handset. So here is your latest intensity gram and latest colorized magnetogram. Let's take a look at this new sunspot first. So there are the fields on that new sunspot. It's looking like it's beta gamma delta class, actually. So that increases its likelihood to produce flares a little bit. Again, these groups over here, well, there may be some sunspots forming there. So that's a sunspot group for sure. So at least two new groups there. And there is another active region rising up here in the north. It also does not have any umbrae, so pretty low levels of solar activity there. There's the rock back. As we say farewell to sunspot 3124 rather. There it goes. It still could produce some significant flares, so we'll be streaming that today on the Twitch channel. Last but not least, some images from SDO. This is yesterday plus today. In multiple wavelengths. 2 species of ionized iron, 1 species of ionized helium, because it's now time to move to the realm of meteorology. Most of the eastern portion of the U.S. is so hot that it's cold. Are you frightened? Are you frightened of the planet being so hot that it's cold? It is just freezingly hot. It's freezingly hot in the eastern portion of the U.S. Let's take a look. As we cite a bunch of facts here at the Smash News Network. Least busted name in news. So check it out. Right around the freezing mark right there. 29.7 degrees. Way down south, wherever that happens to be. Huge freeze warnings going on in the U.S. Let's check the carbon dioxide levels, shall we? Chem, carbon dioxide. Okay. Let's go up here. Oh my God, it's got 427 parts per million. How could it possibly be that cold, folks? It's just, I can't understand it. I don't know how it could possibly be. There's extra carbon dioxide there, 427 parts per million, and it's cold? Oh my God, what is happening? Oh noes. It must be the galaxy. It's going to kill you, folks, the galaxy. And thanks for leaving a comment. Is that Jackie 2 coming at us from Finland? Good day to you as well. So here are the surface winds of the eastern world. And next we'll show the jet streams. The 250 hectopascal winds, there you go. There are the jet streams. Check it out. We've got a strong low here in southeastern Australia. Powerful clockwise rotation happening there in the upper level. 250 hectopascal winds of the U.S. showing a bunch of cold Canadian air, making it all the way down to the Gulf of Mexico, as we have freeze warnings on the Gulf Coast. So those are the jet streams of the western world. And look at the meridional flow over here in the eastern Pacific. Yowzers. Huge bends there in the jet stream. Like sands through the hourglass of time, these are the surface winds of your lives. Here are the surface winds of the central world, Europe and Asia. Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. Strong low here continuing to loiter in between Ireland and the Azores. Last but not least, jet streams of the central world. And let's move on to our Himawari 8 imagery, because we've got some spectacular imagery here of this typhoon. Just give that a moment to initialize there. As the sun rises, sweet imagery there. Check it out. It looks like there is an eye wall forming, but the majority of the high clouds are to the northwest of it. So I'm not sure if there's probably some dry massive air mixed in there, which is not helping with the convection. Looks like it's getting a little bit disorganized. Some fantastic imagery there from the Himawari 8. Yes, if you want to convince people the Earth is spherical because they don't have photos of the Earth, feel free to show them the Himawari 8. And then they'll tell you that it's photoshopped, man. It's not a real photo. By the way, digital photographs are all CGI. Anyway, there's your weather.gov map, and you can see all that purple. Those are all freeze warnings. So very, very cold temperatures here showing up in large portions of the eastern U.S., both sides of the Mississippi River. Most of Oklahoma expected to freeze here, and it's only mid-October. Typically, this means we'll have a mild winter, at least if any of the historical activities are any indication of what will happen in the future. And let's take a look at some forecasts. So we're going to show the temperature anomaly forecast. This is the 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. You can see there reaching down to about 15 degrees Celsius below normal there in most of the eastern U.S., followed by some anomalously high temperatures, so going back to 12 degrees above normal in large portions. So there you go, some wild temperature swings happening. And let's take a look at the pressure and precipitation forecast next. It's the same model, the GFS, which is pretty accurate out to 72 hours. Your GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. And some heavy snows coming to Idaho and Montana there in the next 3 days. The GFS model unlikely to be incorrect. Some wet snow also coming to Washington. Mostly rain there. The farther east you go, the more likely to see snow there in Washington. Also some snow coming to Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York, as that low moves off Lake Huron up to the northeast. Once again, that's your 72-hour GFS pressure and precipitation forecast. Thanks for leaving a comment, Mike Bordages. So here's your snow depth on windy.com. If you've never checked it out, windy.com snow depth. Now this is going to be the European model. We're going to advance this 3 days. And yowzers. Some heavy snow forecasted there by the European model for parts of Washington. Expecting 17 inches there. 17 inches by Saturday midday. In that mountainous region of Washington. Yes, yes. Next, showing the NASA GOES lightning mapper, we're going to show the teeth of the storms. And at the moment, I don't think we have any terrestrial strikes in the U.S. Things are pretty calm from a lightning strike perspective. Looks like the UK is seeing some thunderstorm activity. Maybe Florida. What do you got? Oh, the Florida Keys. National Key Deer Refuge, Big Pine Key. There's thunder rolling in. Little thunder shower happening there, not far from Key West, one of the drunkest places in the world. Next, radar.weather.gov. Radar.weather.gov. If you want to view the Doppler radar yourself, it's pretty sweet. It doesn't show China's radar. China's radar is made in China, so it doesn't show the China radar. Okay, it could be rating in China. It could be not rating in China. They're selling knockoff Callaway golf clubs to their radar operators. Okay. Those golf clubs created with stolen intellectual capital from the U.S. Of course, America has the most beautiful, the most amazing, the most spectacular Doppler radar systems that have ever been built. Okay? Here's what's going on. Some snow around the eastern Great Lakes. Here's a shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. And here is the water vapor. You'll be able to see that cold air coming down from Canada. Just making its way there across Arkansas and making its way into Louisiana as we speak. How often does the Gulf Coast freeze? On the 19th of October. Or the 20th of October. Not too often, folks. Maybe if they just had less carbon dioxide there, it would be even colder and they'd be very safe. Jackie 2 says they got snow in Finland, but it melted now already. Thanks for leaving a comment. Here's your recap. The U.S. Doppler radar. Some rain showers there moving across Florida. Some heavier rain there. Also moving, it's going to brush past the south of Miami, it looks like. You might get some winds and only some minor showers. Miami. Here is the shortwave radiation map showing clouds and fog. It's 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite there from the NASA GOES Interactive Weather Satellite Suite, and there is the water vapor map. That should clear things up. Again, that low that's now over Lake Erie is going to be moving to the northwest soon. Thanks for tuning in to the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. I'll be leaving you here from the planet Smashtron 9, and may that solar wind be at your back.